For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Why all the confusion over whether somebody who has occupied land for over 30 years, whether that person can gain title to that land? We have one thing from the Prime Minister and another thing from his housing minister. We'll try to make sense of all the confusion. One regional state decides that it wants to put a pause on the recruitment of Cuban nurses. All that and more between now and 2 o'clock this afternoon as we welcome you to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, NewsSpin, on Power 97.9 FM. The broadcast is also on the NewsSpin Facebook page as well as the NewsSpin YouTube channel. And of course, we are asking you to please hit the subscribe button. Click it, whatever you want to do with it, but please subscribe. In a moment, Amanda will be going through some of your comments in the chat room, and we'll be entertaining your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. We hope you're having yourself a fantastic Wednesday, and you're all set for what will transpire on this broadcast. There's no denying that there's a lot of confusion that is emanating from the bosom of this St. Lucia Labour Party administration from time to time. The Prime Minister, with great conviction, unequivocally states that if you are occupying Crown lands for more than 30 years, automatically you would be given title to that land, to applause and to cheers during a St. Lucia Labour Party Town Hall Tuesday event. And everyone bought into this. Ikai fet do, because primarily he said, he used the Prato term, Poleon. That's very convincing, you know. Boy, yeah. For nothing. Absolutely free. And considering that elections are around the corner, somebody even quipped to me and said elections could take place in St. Lucia in July. That is next month. I don't think that's possible. But anyway, I digress. And so we hear from the housing minister something totally different. That this applies primarily to private land. If you are occupying private land for more than 30 years, according to the housing minister and lawyer, then you can get title to this land. Confusion. Premier minister kadi abay, a lot minis kadi a lot bagay. So they're not singing from the same hymn book. It is as if we have Philip J. Pierre as the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, and then we have another person who is de facto Prime Minister. One would have expected, anticipated, that the Prime Minister would have been the one to walk back this particular statement, to address it, to revisit it, to clarify it, if there is need for clarification. So let's hear from both the Prime Minister and the Housing Minister on this issue.
This year, we will give everybody who is on Crown lands and who has been there for more than 30 years, we will give them the land free. Pouaye!
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just to at least inform the general public that pursuant to a statement made by the Honorable Prime Minister, I want to disabuse the minds of some persons who seemingly have digested misinformation stating that as long as you are on the land for 30 years, you are entitled to that property. That only goes, Mr. Speaker, for private lands.
This year, we will give everybody who is on Crown lands and who has been there for more than 30 years, we will give them the land free. Pouaye!
That only goes, Mr. Speaker, for private lands, and that does not apply to Crown lands.
Everybody who is on Crown lands and who has been there for more than 30 years, we will give them the land free. Pouaye!
It goes, Mr. Speaker, for private lands, and that does not apply to Crown lands.
You heard from both the Prime Minister and his Housing Minister on this particular issue. If you're confused, I don't blame you. The Housing Minister makes reference to digested misinformation. I mean, this thing has really caused not a case of digesting misinformation. It has caused indigestion. That is what this has caused. Because people are none the wiser on this particular issue. People took it that, yes, they have resided on Crown lands for more than 30 years and hooray to the government. And they'll be getting the deeds, their land entitlement to the land that they have occupied for a while. Not a while, over 3 decades. Only to be told that that is not the case. And you tell me that is not a government that is, at least as far as this is concerned, a government that is disorganized, almost said in a shambolic state. Too much of a big word, but disorganized. And there's need for further clarification on this particular matter. Another issue that certainly warrants clarification because of the implications. And rest assured, if the United Workers' Party was in government, I am sure for all of us in St. Lucia, it would have been cause for concern, all of us on the island. And those of you in particular who are so in love with the United States and you do not want to part company with their visas and their green card, citizenship, etc. because of the implications. The fact that people may not be able to travel to the U.S. to study, medical attention. You have friends, family members in the U.S. You're looking forward to traveling to the United States every now and then, particularly for summer vacation with the family. All that is in threat. All that is in jeopardy, is in jeopardy. And you wonder whether you, as a citizen, did anything to be facing such a threat or to be put in such a position, or whether fellow citizens, or whether through the actions of the government of the day, or maybe all of the above. And so there's talk of the United States government contemplating imposing a travel ban on St. Lucia, along with a number of territories, 35 other territories that will include Antigua, Dominica, as well as St. Kitts and Nevis. But we ought to be more preoccupied with our situation, our circumstances on the island. And maybe not too long we'll be hearing from my good friends in the private sector. Your St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Brian Louisi. And others, people in the tourism sector as well. Because in most jurisdictions, those entities, through their various officials, would come out, issue statements, convene press conferences, not only for the betterment of their members, people who will be directly impacted, but the wider society. There are some issues that you just cannot sweep under the carpet. This is one such issue. And we have this hanging over our heads, the possibility of America imposing this visa, the travel ban, on us. Let us hear Tammy Bruce, the U.S. State Department spokesperson, addressing this all-important issue yesterday during a press conference.
We are, of course, committed to protecting our nation's citizens by upholding the highest standards of national security and public safety through our visa process in particular, as laid out in President Trump's Executive Order 14161, protecting the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. The visa adjudication process has got to ensure that U.S.-bound foreign travelers do not pose a threat to the national security and public safety of the United States. That is, I think, a very low bar, and is a bar that every nation should be able to adopt. To protect the national security and national interests of the United States and its people, the Department of State and other U.S. government agencies assess other countries' security capabilities, information sharing, and identity management practices, exploitation of the U.S. visa system, such as overstay rates, and failure to facilitate the repatriation of their removable nationals. So, noting where a country, perhaps as you did, is located, the geoposition, the actual location of a country, is not a factor, or what continent that country is on. These are about very specific aspects about whether or not the United States feels it can trust the information we rely on those countries for to determine whether or not they'll get a visa. We don't, we rely on the vetting and the presentation of information from other nations in order to say, yes, you can or you can't come. In this particular instance, I think that it's clear as we're looking at providing a period of time, countries being told if they don't get to that point where we can trust them, and they've got to change the system, update it, do whatever they need to do to convince us that we can trust the process and the information they have. So that is the goal of this. The Secretary will have the discretion to determine whether or not someone is on that list, as we then also continuously vet the nature of what's happening within these conversations. And the goal is so that we can all move forward, so that people can come to the country. And that's our goal. All right. Yes, sir. Yeah, but I don't know why you're so far in the back, Michelle, but
I'm sorry.
With NPR, yes.
Yes. Just following up on that, there was a deadline given for these 36 countries tomorrow to come up with their action plan. I wonder if you've heard back from any of them yet?
That's incorrect. I can just tell you that that's not correct. The fact is that they will have a considerable amount of time to rectify whatever the situation is that the State Department has determined is affecting the nature of our trust in how we issue a visa.
You just heard there from U.S. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce. She did not specify the timeline given for countries like St. Lucia to meet those benchmarks, but we are told that it's about 60 days. And it's not a case where the St. Lucian authorities can say to the U.S., that's not your business. You have to answer to the United States because you know of the implications. And very often you hear when those leaders, when they speak, they've kowtowed, they beg the United States. You could see, they're so subservient. We are friends with the United States because they know of the implications. So rest assured, if an explanation will not be forthcoming from our authorities in St. Lucia, the foreign minister, hardly hear from him on those issues, or the prime minister, they would have to speak with their U.S. counterparts. It's not maybe. They have to. Mandatory. Obligé. Let us hear from Mr. Stephen Favrier, who is the United Workers' Party spokesperson on matters relating to foreign affairs. He addressed that issue yesterday during a press conference of the UWP.
St. Lucian students and athletes may be unable to travel freely. Imagine our young scholars and national athletes, many of whom have represented our country, with great pride and distinction, not being allowed to enter the United States for either training or competition. With our large St. Lucian population in the United States, families would be separated and legitimate visa holders would be denied re-entry. Travel to visit family, travel to visit your friends would be impossible. St. Lucians seeking specialized medical attention would be denied access to urgent and acute medical care not locally available. We are already receiving informal reports that visa applications by St. Lucian nationals, including students, are quietly being denied, even for those who previously held visas without any issue. And it does not stop there. In March of this year, the European Parliament's Civil Liberties Committee approved an amendment to the Schengen visa regulation targeting certain countries with citizenship by investment programs. The committee voted to approve a draft report that outlines possible changes to EU Regulation 2018/1806, the very regulation governing visa entry requirements for travel into the European Union. The draft argues that CIP programs pose a security threat to the European Union. So, unless the government of St. Lucia addresses the concerns of our European friends, the proposed changes would result in the reimposition of visa requirements for St. Lucian passport holders seeking to access Europe. It is beyond doubt that the governance issues surrounding our CIP program has elevated the risk profile of St. Lucia and St. Lucian travelers. And what are the reasons cited by the European Parliament for this move? Government fraud, weak background checks, degrading diplomatic trust. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Our friends, our closest friends, both in the United States and in Europe, are openly saying that the trust and confidence that St. Lucia once enjoyed is gone. It's gone. This is not speculation. This is not political noise. This is what is happening today. And yet, what has the government's response been? Silence. Silence. This is a matter that should rightly concern each and every St. Lucian. Yet, St. Lucians have received no guidance on how government intends to address this matter, no reassurance from either the minister with responsibility for foreign affairs or the minister with responsibility for the CIP program. Today, the United Workers' Party calls on the government to immediately and publicly answer the following questions. 1. Has the government received any communication, official or otherwise, from the U.S. State Department regarding the situation? 2. What actions are being taken to address the security and compliance related concerns raised by our U.S. friends? 3. Has the government begun consultation, and listen to this one carefully, has the government begun consultations with our tourism stakeholders to explore and take steps to mitigate the likely catastrophic impact on the sector should this ban take effect? 4. What is being done to ensure that our students, athletes and professionals continue to have access to the United States? This issue affects every St. Lucian, both here at home and abroad. The St. Lucian government must treat with grave concern those recent reports. We are therefore calling on Philip J. Pierre and his administration to immediately address all areas of non-compliance, to be transparent and honest with the people of St. Lucia.
The United Workers' Party candidate for Castries North in the upcoming general election, Mr. Stephen Favrier, speaking yesterday during a press conference of the UWP. Let me hear from you right now at 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. Somebody says there, what are the implications for us, for a Chinese company, vetting our citizenship or persons getting our passports? Another WhatsApp message, Tim, as a matter of law, I think RF is right on this one. And the person continues, America is a joke talking about national security. They are harming each other every minute of every day, so it's rich coming from them, or it's ridiculous coming from them. And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message to go through. And somebody says there via WhatsApp, Tim, could all this be a way to avoid the Bannon's land issue? So the people there wouldn't say that they're entitled to the land there and not move. And let's see. Do we have a call on the landline? Let's see if we have a call on the landline. In the meantime, let me go through WhatsApp message. And the person says there, do we have a call, Mr. Producer? No? Okay. Person says there, good day, Tim. This gives me reason to look into a situation that my family is now going through. My mother has been on a property that she was gifted, and that's private land, 41 years ago, and has been asked that she needs to move. So based on the housing minister's response, maybe we have a case. And we have another WhatsApp message. So the ministers are not allowed to make mistakes when they speak and have someone else correct it later? So that makes the government disorganized? Shaking my head. This is not worthy of a response, but I will try. The Prime Minister of St. Lucia made a categorical statement. This is not an SLP hack who made that statement. This is not an official of the St. Lucia Labour Party who made that statement. It is the Prime Minister of St. Lucia who made the statement. The Prime Minister of the country. And you expect that if there's need for clarification or explanation, he should, in order to avoid any kind of further confusion, because I mean at the time the MP for Castries Central spoke, the Prime Minister would have been overseas. The Prime Minister, upon his return, could have taken to the airwaves, convened a press conference, could have called NewsSpin, and clarified the issue. It should not warrant the intervention of another government minister on this particular issue. And that is why I conclude out of this that there's just too much confusion as far as this issue is concerned, and maybe it is reflective of probably how the government is conducting the affairs, the people's business. Let's see if we have a WhatsApp message. Somebody says there, good day, Tim. How can the government give you land owned privately? This is a lot of nonsense. Continue with your WhatsApp messages. Somebody says, Tim, isn't Crown lands owned by the government and private lands and lands owned by an individual? Is this government saying that if I have a piece of land and someone is living on it for over 30 years, that this piece of land will automatically be theirs? This is going to cause lots of problems in this country. Definitely, there is need for further clarification. We have a call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Tim, good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Tim, listening to the clips that you played, and I've listened to all of them before, I see that we have a confused government. A government that don't know what they're about, a government that represents a country, and they don't know what each other is saying and what each other is doing. Is like they're just in a Maheko show. And a Maheko show is you put everything possible in Maheko show and the kosher will eat it. It's just that we live in a country where the people has voted a government that is really and truly confused and don't have a clue of anything. The Prime Minister has come out and said everybody that living on Crown lands 30 years and more.
No, not 30 years or more. He said over 30 years.
Over 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Will get the lands for free, poor and yatim, and the man specified and said Crown lands. The Minister of Housing come out and telling you that the Prime Minister, not in so many words, don't know what he's talking about. The Prime Minister doesn't have an idea of what he has to say and what he should say. So now he's telling you, I am correcting what he said and telling the people of St. Lucia, the Prime Minister don't know what he's about, so I will tell you what I am saying now. It is no more Crown lands, but it is private land. So, Tim, what you are telling me is that if you have your land and you have not used it for over 40 years, but you have all your documentation, you are telling me that because somebody living on it for over 40 years, when you come with your documentation and go for your land, they will just give your land for free? I cannot understand that. I wish somebody would clarify that for me. Not the Minister of Housing, but some persons with knowledge to clarify that stuff just for the people of St. Lucia to know. And the other thing, Tim, is the passports and the visas and the ban, traveling ban. Are you saying to me that even our top athlete, the fastest lady in the world, I want to know what is her standing as a result of all these things that are being said, that America is banning, Europe is banning, and everybody else is banning because we have a government that do not know what they're about. They have given they have sold passports to people that is not of right standing and people who have allegations on their name and stuff like that. And right now, everybody have to pay the consequences. You know what I wish to happen? Every U.S. citizen and people that supporting Labour Party in the USA that have proper documentation from the state, because they supporting Labour Party and Labour Party is doing so well, I wish that Trump would have sent these people by the house, by the St. Lucian house, when they have meetings, and each and every one of them arrest them and send them back to St. Lucia, because St. Lucia have a good government, they are doing well, and they don't need to be in the U.S. Come and live in St. Lucia. Let Labour deal with them. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. But this is an emotional statement that you're making there, caller. This has nothing to do with UWP or SLP supporters. We should not look at it from a partisan standpoint. It has everything to do with regard to implications for all of us in St. Lucia as St. Lucians. 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. Let me see if I have a WhatsApp message to go through now. Let's see if we have somebody on the landline while we try to go through your WhatsApp messages. Let's see there if somebody has sent me a WhatsApp message. Just going through as many of them as possible. And somebody, okay, I think we have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. You are on the air. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Poleon.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. I'm calling from the U.S. and I'm calling about the news clip that I saw about one guy being deported back to St. Lucia.
Yes.
And he said during an interview that there were 3 of them being deported, and 2 of them had no relatives, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that if the government of St. Lucia agreed to accept the deportees back to St. Lucia, I am sure that everybody who's here, I was in this country for 16 years before I became legal in this country. So I know what it is to work hard and to send money home to take care of our families back home. Even if we don't have a piece of paper in our hand, we always take care of our people back home. Now, if something happened today with this guy who's in office, Donald Trump, we all know what he's doing, you know. Most of it is against the law, by the way. Sending everybody back. I mean, the government of St. Lucia should look out for their people, you know. I saw there was a plane with 11 deportees returned to Trinidad, and government officials were at the airport to receive those people, because most of these people who are being deported, they are not criminals. They have not committed any crime other than being in the United States without a piece of documents in their hands, So when we work so hard, take care of our families back home, the money we send home, it doesn't just go towards our family. It goes in the country. It's been circulated in the country. So if an unfortunate circumstance happens and somebody has to be deported, why don't the government make provisions for the people? Why do you just leave them and then you're asking another deportee to please, will you take this person? Where are they taking them to? I find that is very, very bad. The government should make up a way that when the people come, as long as they have no criminal record, they did not kill anybody in the U.S. or did not kill anybody in St. Lucia and escape to the United States, they should welcome them back to the country with open arms. They don't even have jobs, but they should be able to provide a way for them. You understand? Because it is very bad for the people to reach in St. Lucia and then they have nowhere to go. The government should first be the first ones to welcome them back to St. Lucia. That's what I think.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. But let me inform you that it was earlier this year that the Prime Minister announced that a task force was set up, an immigration task force headed by Minister Jeremiah Norbert. And that is to facilitate the return of St. Lucia nationals who have been deported from the United States. Now, since that announcement by the Prime Minister, we have not heard anything with regard to the work of that particular task force. We have not even heard about nationals being deported from the United States to St. Lucia, returning to St. Lucia, and what happens to those people. So that's very unfortunate.
Well, yesterday there was something on the news.
Yes, but
I'm familiar.
I'm familiar with that story because the gentleman was saying that two other nationals from St. Lucia, they left the island when they were 6 and 9 years old, respectively. He said they were from Castries. Exactly. They were from Castries. Mm-hmm. And those individuals, I don't know their current age, but they don't know of any relatives, any friends, etc. So those people are in limbo. What will happen to them?
Exactly.
Yes.
So the government should have a way to welcome these people. I mean, you don't just accept your people being put on a plane and sent back to St. Lucia and they get to the airport and people are there to interview them, but there's nobody to take them in. You know, what is that? Mm-hmm. I brought my children here when they were at about 7 years and 10 years old. Now, what if it were one of them? I'm all the way here now. Thank God I have relatives back in St. Lucia, but I can understand when somebody say they were brought here at 7 and or whatever age, that was the age I brought my kids here. And it had to take my son, whom I brought here at 10 years old, to get married and be able to sponsor me and my husband. That's why we are legal here in this country. Mm-hmm. So I know what it is, and there are hundreds, thousands of St. Lucians who are not, who still doesn't have a piece of paper in their hands, the people don't have anything, and so if God forbid something were to happen to one of them, whom I know are taking care of their families back home, who are sending barrels upon barrels every Christmas, sending for this one, sending for that one, and then they come to St. Lucia and there's nobody. The government is not making a way. They have to make a way for the people. They have to,
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Poleon.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for calling. So, agencies cannot be set up, task force cannot be set up and exist only in name. You cannot have St. Lucians being deported from the U.S., returning to the island, and the authorities are not aware of their arrival to put various measures in place. Because a lot of those people, they're not aware of the location of friends and relatives. They cannot even identify with the country anymore. The previous caller is making reference to two St. Lucians who returned along with another St. Lucia national. And the two in question, they left the island when they were 6 and 9 years old, respectively. What will happen to those individuals? So, over to that immigration task force, headed by the Minister with responsibility for Home Affairs, Mr. Jeremiah Norbert. Hope we'll get an update as to whether any measures have been set up, any things have been put in place to welcome those returning nationals to the island, because the Prime Minister said they are St. Lucians and we have to accept them. We will accept St. Lucians who are deported to the island. End of quote. The broadcast will continue in just a moment with more of your calls, your WhatsApp messages, and of course we'll be hearing from Amanda. She'll be having an update from us regarding some of the comments in the chat room. This is the most monitored talk show in the world.
Carnival just got crunchier with KFC. It's time to fet, win, and feast with the Carnival Crunch Box. For just $30, get a Big Crunch or Zinger sandwich, 3 crunchy strips, a dipping sauce, regular fries, a 16-ounce soda, and a biscuit. But wait, that's not all. Every Carnival Crunch Box gives you a chance to win big. Promotion runs June 1st to July 20th. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Do whatever that crunch you want. Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbouté at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Lucilec averti ou pour point précaution durant saison cyclone ça là. Mi un petit commission qui kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou ek propriétaire ou. Couiller Lucilec avant ou trim et ben couper pied bois qui pouet ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold et bout d'outils ou ka servi pas venir moins qui 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben outils qui ka servi courant électrique. Des wall côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça c'était en commission hors Lucilec.
In the blink of an eye, disaster can strike. Are you ready? When the winds rage and the rain pours, will you be prepared? Don't let the next hurricane catch you off guard. At MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt, we understand the importance of preparation. From generators to plywood, we have everything you need to weather the storm. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt today and make sure your family is safe and secure this hurricane season. Play it safe. Get prepared.
It's the energy of we people, something pulsing inside. It beats in every soul, a feeling we cannot hide. It's always pushing us forward, the limit up in the sky. There's rhythm in how we flow, a rhythm that can't be denied. It's in the feeling in how we talk. It's in the meaning in our spark. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are, 'cause the rhythm of life keeps bumping.
Why suffer in silence? At La Clinique de Corps, an approved universal healthcare clinic, you now have direct access to a team of internationally trained specialists from the US, France, Cuba, Venezuela, and more right here in St. Lucia. We treat chronic pain, sciatica, arthritis, lupus, nerve damage, carpal tunnel, and more with precision and care. We also offer advanced diagnostic nerve testing to detect hidden issues early before they become serious. All health insurances accepted. We assist you every step of the way. Call 451-6559 or WhatsApp 721-9950 today. La Clinique de Corps, where healing begins.
Essie, don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
Hey, it seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vic Bouteille. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world. It is called NewsSpin. We have a WhatsApp message coming from an attorney friend. I've never met her, but I consider her a friend. It reads, Tim, adverse possession. That is the entitlement of an occupant of land to own the land if it has been abandoned by the owner and occupied by the occupant for 30 years or more, to put it simply. Has also been the law in St. Lucia. Has always been the law in St. Lucia. This is not a new concept. It is also not new that crown lands cannot generally be adversely possessed. That said, I do agree that the Prime Minister should have just confessed that he made an error and explained the correct position. It would certainly have been much less confusing to the general public. I would add that the concept is so much more complicated than that, so the Prime Minister should never have made such a public pronouncement. Over to you, Amanda. Good afternoon to you. Let's find out what is happening in the chat room.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, NewsSpinners. Tim, a few comments from earlier in the chat room. Someone says here, there is no confusion. We're just getting to accept the fact that there is one simple rule in politics. Never ever be surprised by the lies happening in politics. Another commentator reads, but that not sounding right. How could someone who has been occupying private lands get it for free by the government? So government owns private lands now? A NewsSpinner says, Tim, please remember the election promises before. $1 million to be injected into the economy immediately. $1,500 promised to the people. Now we're getting lands for free. Another commentator reads, so PJP was giving misinformation. I guess that is nothing new from the Prime Minister. Someone says I think Richard Frederick is correct. Remember, Richard was doing land cases when he first became a lawyer. Someone says so Richard Frederick said that Philip JPA is misinforming the public. Lol, who is ruling St. Lucia? A NewsSpinner says so we found out that the memo speaking to the possible restrictions was sent to all foreign diplomats last Saturday. Philip JPA is not telling us the truth. Another commentator reads, lol Tim, we have not digested, we now have indigestion. Very disorganized SLP administration. That's why I believe St. Jude's Hospital will be a hot, chaotic mess. Wait for it.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for that update. Still to come, we'll be having some more updates from her. Let's take a call via WhatsApp as we say hello. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Timothy. Good afternoon, St. Lucia.
Good afternoon to you, ma'am.
I'm sure you expected to hear my voice this afternoon.
I expected your call
Timothy,
because you promised to call. Yes, go ahead.
The Prime Minister did not make an error. The Prime Minister knew exactly what he was saying. It's one of two things. Either the Prime Minister was lying and bluffing the people, or the Prime Minister intended to create policy, translate it to legislation, and do what he said he was going to do. So it has to be one of the two, because the Prime Minister has to know that Crown land cannot be prescribed. And in St. Lucia, it's prescription, not adverse possession. Adverse possession is a U.S. term. Even I made that error in some court documents. Prescription, Civil Code 2107, I believe it is, or 2307, allows you to prescribe land if you've been on the land 30 years or more, whether it's yours or not. But you have to be on it. You have to have been occupying it. And basically the rationale behind that is, if you own land and you allow me to be on it for 30 years and you never came and moved me off of it, then you don't want it. I just took it. That's the law. That's what it is. But it's private land, not Crown land. So if the Prime Minister came and said, if you've been on the land for over 30 years, because he didn't say 30, the law said 30. He said over 30. You would get it for free. In my opinion, the way I understood the Prime Minister was that he was going to go to Parliament because he has that authority to pass the necessary legislation to give the people on Crown lands who've been there for more than 30 years, to give them that land. That's basically what he was saying. Otherwise, he was straight up bluffing us. So why bluff the nation? Why lead them to believe you're going to give them something when you already know land is a sore spot for many people? Now, I heard a lady said her mother was willed land 41 years ago. 41 years ago. And when she was willed that land 41 years ago, she's on it. Maybe now she can get the documents for it. But Timothy, remember we had a little protest. No referendum, no CCJ. No referendum, no CCJ. That's what we said, right?
Yeah.
What did government say? Government said Kenny Anthony had changed the Constitution to make it possible to change our primary court without a referendum. And they took us to the CCJ without the referendum. Well, tell Mr. Frederick, stop bluffing the people. Stop being dishonest with the people. Tell the people what happened. Tell them what the CCJ has already done. No referendum, you say? Well, look it. Thank you, Timothy.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much for your contribution. 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let's see if we have a WhatsApp message. Don't sell Crown lands to the foreigners. It belongs to us, St. Lucians. I pray that does not happen to my children or anyone, but it is happening. He visited and saw how we are living and said, I can't guarantee if I can help you. And this was said by a certain individual. Let's see if we have another. Okay, we have a caller line. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Well, I tried all day yesterday,
Yes.
Mr. Black, I when I first called today.
My apologies to you, sir. This is happening to so many people. Go ahead, Rick.
That's success.
Yes, it is.
Tim, what is the difference, the effective difference, between sitting on land 30 years and sitting on land 30 years and over? What's the difference, effectively?
Well, well, if it's not 30 years, then you don't entitled to the land. Because he said...
No, I'm saying 30 years and over.
There's not much difference. Yeah.
There's none.
Yeah, there's not much difference.
But I thought I just heard somebody saying there was a big difference. There was a difference in effect between saying 30 years and 30 years and over.
No, because what the Prime Minister said was over 30 years. But what we are hearing is it must be 30 years. At least 30 years. You there, Rick?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Prime Minister, what did the Prime Minister actually say?
He actually said over 30 years.
Well, that simply means if you're sitting on land 30 years on one day that you're entitled,
Yes.
So I don't. Anyway, Tim, I called about yesterday about fundamental rights that bothered me like hell. Tim, no, that case of the man who was picked up and thrown into the Jeep like garbage. From what I saw, Tim, that guy looked about 50-something, going on 60?
Yes, at least.
Okay. That man looked absolutely incapacitated. He could barely walk for whatever reason. I'm trying to make sure that's what I saw, Tim.
I mean, the man's sobriquet is known as Koshi,
So the man is incapacitated.
Yeah, Koshi.
Then I heard some people calling you, telling you, well, but maybe there's more to the tape, and we didn't see it. I heard that. I heard that correctly, right?
And you heard my response.
I don't remember, Tim.
Yeah.
Actually, I was
What I was saying is irrelevant what he did, all right? And let me repeat. Today, if he committed a heinous crime, a hideous crime, whatever crime he committed, you have him in your possession.
But I was saying more than that, Tim. I was saying the public, and by the way, we tend to forget those things, and they come back to bite us in the ass. We are dealing with a police force, members of whom are facing charges of gross violation of human rights. That is pending, unresolved. That our police force comprises members accused of gross violations of human rights, and that has not been resolved. I'm correct on that?
Absolutely.
Good. What I saw there was another gross violation of human rights, and I am interested in what I saw and what the whole world saw via all the devices we now have. So we saw two young police officers. I thought this was egregious. The man was not armed. The man seemed in no position to defend himself. He seemed quite frail. He was roughly shoved. Two policemen could have lifted that guy and carefully deposited him in that vehicle. He was roughly handled by the one hand on the man's crotch. And, the impression I got, this was a police officer. These were police officers with no sense whatsoever of humanity. Because you can arrest people, Tim, as if they were pigs, or you can arrest them while recognizing their dignity.
Yes.
But that's only if you have some kind of concept of human dignity, if you have some respect for human dignity. The guy, from what I saw, again, that's what everybody else saw. We have no idea what he did, and I don't know what the hell he could have done. Even if he had killed somebody, it is not the policeman's job to manhandle him unless the policeman's life is at risk, etc., etc. The fact, whatever he did, could not warrant the way that man was lifted and shoved like garbage. And at one point, it seemed to me, the guy was sitting and unable, but I know about this thing now, the legs. That man seemed unable to pull his legs into the vehicle.
Yes.
His legs were hanging out, and one police officer shoved him by his head, Jim. Shoved him. Did you see that? I'm a detailed guy.
I played the clip and I saw it. I studied it before I played it on the air. I studied it.
I am underscoring it because I heard so many callers to you yesterday, and not one of them even went near the questions I'm asking there. So the guy was shoved, this man who looked handicapped and crippled was roughly put into the vehicle, and while he was hanging out of the vehicle, his head was shoved back. You could easily have broken the man's neck, all that kind of stuff, when you were in no danger. It was as if the policemen were in some kind of rage and could not control themselves. And if we are seeing such things in broad daylight, what are we supposed to think about a police department with the number of abuses all unresolved, pending against them. What are we supposed to think about that police force? Do we call those police officers if we have a domestic thing at home? Do we call them for any reason at all? Do we call those guys? Because we hear the stories. Sometimes we see them with their guns and all kinds of stuff. Should people like that even be entrusted with a firearm? I didn't hear anybody ask those questions at all.
But what do you think? What do you think is happening in private between a police officer or police officers and members of the public?
I'm about to broach that.
Yeah.
We are not supposed to guess what's happening in private. The minute that thing was out there, the police high authority should have addressed it personally, like they do in other countries that call themselves civilized. Or they could at least have issued a release when your program started on that. Have you received any kind of release from the police?
I have not seen any or received any release, but last evening the Home Affairs Minister spoke on it, and we have a report. I'll play it momentarily.
Well, the Home Affairs Minister or the Minister of Prevention of Crime?
He's Home Affairs Minister as well, sir.
He's that as well?
Yes.
And all he did was this continuing insult to the national intelligence, to the dopiest person. Well, I didn't see it. I mean, when a thing is complained about publicly to a minister, he cannot tell you, I didn't see it myself. He has to promise you he's going to investigate it and issue a statement on it as soon as he does. And if he does not, we should be questioning him again. What about this? What about that? Why have we not heard from the DPP about allegations that he's a goddamn liar? We heard that from a commissioner of police, did we not?
We have, yes.
Good.
And up to yesterday, we heard Miss Mary Francis complaining about the DPP as well.
Good. Why have we not been told what happened to this inquest we were promised about 3 months ago, reopening of a particular case? Why?
Because it's not our business.
Why have we...
It's not our business.
Well, you see, you have to understand that by now the politicians don't give... I am going back to the prostitutes and the pimps. I'm going back to the slaves and the slave masters that look like us. Every day that's what we're doing, you know. Every day we're going through this and we're just talking about it. If and when somebody should take it into his own hands because he's frustrated, because he was enraged, like possibly the policeman was enraged, and behave in a manner worse than the police, it will be too late to say if and when and how and how. So the people of this country are complicit. Everybody who has not spoken with anger and concern about this man who was treated like a lot of garbage by life-protecting officers paid for by the taxes we pay in. Anybody who has not made noise and used the toughest language about it in protest is complicit. That person may well have put his hand in that man's crotch and lifted him off the ground and shove him in there. I want St. Lucians to understand that when we don't make the appropriate noises, I can't do much more. You know, right now, ambulation for me is a problem. But there was a time when I would have found myself in the police station and asked the police chief to give me an answer, and then I would go and write an article that would either be in praise of the police chief's work, or to show he is as much a dog as the people. Because the way that policeman handled that guy, he might as well been a dog biting the guy, you know. That is how dogs bite people. They grab them anywhere. Right or wrong?
You're correct.
So once again, we have people in uniforms whose souls are the souls of spirits, are the spirits of dogs. And we are complicit. I saw that man, I say, my God, that could be me. That could be a relative of mine. It could be you, Tim.
Yes, any one of us.
Because they know nothing is going to happen, and we have a society that itself is like jungle people. That's how we live. We have no standards. We have no sense of right and wrong. All we do is defend politicians who abuse us. Politicians who make money off our backs, politicians who prostitute us one way or another, politicians who insult us on TV and everything else. I'm talking of the insulting. Why was it left to Richard Frederick to make the announcement corrective of the Prime Minister when there is an Attorney General? That is normally the job of the Attorney General, to explain things in law regarding Parliament. Just because you're a lawyer it's not the normal thing for you to take over the job of the Attorney General. So nothing is normal in this place. Nothing at all. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Rick. So we will hear we'll have a report in just a moment on this, the reaction of the island's Home Affairs Minister to this embarrassing incident which occurred this week involving 2 police officers, the way they manhandled an individual, gonna assume based on what we saw, who is disabled. And that report was filed last evening during the DBS News World by Miriam Montoot.
I am going to shoot you. There is a passenger in here. There is a passenger in here.
Switch off the vehicle, please. You're going to shoot me? Switch off.
There is a passenger in here.
May I have my ticket, please?
Switch
off. May I have my ticket, please?
Can you switch off the vehicle, please?
May I have my ticket, please?
Can you switch off the vehicle, please? Hey, you're not supposed to put his hand in here.
Outside of Tuesday's parliamentary sitting, Minister for Crime Prevention and Persons with Disabilities Jeremiah Norbert addressed public concerns over the actions of some police officers in videos circulating on social media. One of those videos shows a police officer threatening to shoot an individual in a vehicle at a traffic checkpoint. Norbert says that he does not know the full circumstances surrounding the incident. Nevertheless, he called the behavior of the officers unacceptable, as officers are trained to reach for their firearms as a last resort.
The police have my full support and backing. When they do what is right, when they follow the parameters, once they operate within the parameters of the law, they have the full support, my support, and that of the government of St. Lucia. In the same breath, if police officers decide to go on a tangent of their own and behave defiant or go against the established norms and rules that's supposed to guide them and the way they operate, I will not stand and support it. I will openly condemn it, and that is my stance on that particular matter. I said I'm not sure what would have led to the situation being what it was. However, under no circumstance do you just stand and tell anybody that I am going to shoot you.
Another video shows police officers using force to put a man believed to be disabled in a police vehicle along the Chaussee Road in Castries. While Norbert again emphasized that he does not have the full details surrounding this incident, he says what he saw was unacceptable.
Just the way that the gentleman was carried. I was a police officer for 10 years, and we have been taught as police officers to use like force with like force. And if your life is not in imminent danger, the most you can do is to ensure that you treat people with a certain level of dignity and professionalism. And that is just my personal opinion. From what I saw on the chaussee, I did not see that being exemplified. I was not happy with the way in which the gentleman was being handled. I was disappointed in the way that, and as I said, I do not know what would have caused him to be handled in that way. But regardless, I mean, there were 2 police officers, 1 gentleman, and if there was need to call more police officers, they could have. But I don't think that what I saw was acceptable.
As a government, Norbert says the current administration has given the police support by providing vehicles and training, but he says they are working on the customer service component of policing. He emphasized that police interactions with the public is more important than the firearm or bulletproof vest they carry. Norbert also told the press that the Commissioner of Police has been made aware of the situation and that the matter will be investigated. For the DBS News World, Miriam Montoot reported.
Miriam Montoot reported was filed and aired yesterday during the DBS News World. Somebody says the police officers better beg for forgiveness. You have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
And how are you? I'm your long-time friend. I'm Edmund Maffrey, better known as Pentius Mangjam.
Yes, sir.
And I like speaking, and you hear why I address you as Mr. Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Tim, you have to give Jack his jacket where it fits. That means shirt, the bow tie, and the long sleeve. You have to give the pants and the belt where it is. This thing that have been happening in the police force have been happening for a long time. You see, I'm not a supporter of Jeremiah no, but I was 40 years in the party and I left. But this thing have been happening with the policemen of St. Lucia. And if they want to take it. You sa kopon voir, moi me parler. Because me pa pe comme team. Kopon voir ça. Man, you get an elderly man. Or whatever next. The last resort has to be your firearm. And St. Lucian's policemen have been trained. Exercising what had to be trained of them. The only thing St. Lucian policemen know, a whole heap of them in town. What they have, a ticket book to only issue a ticket and a warranty. Man, I saw that in my 2 eyes. While tourists got almost unbread. I did not say I'd see it. And when the police came to run, behind the man, he could not run. His belly was so big, unfit. It took the public arena to help him, Mr. Tim. Mr. Tim, I'm hoping you're listening to me. Just give me 3 minutes again.
You have my undivided attention, sir.
Oh, no. Undivided attention, man. I respect you, Tim. They call you little Bo Pit, you know. You and my partner running the elections for and sorry. That is fair day. You all look the same. Policemen have not been trained. But if they had drug busts, there are 100 of them to know where they will get a pay packet. I can tell them. It's Edmund Murphy that said that. Better known as Pentious Bank job. Right? They know where to get a pay packet. But when they have to do the social and the fundamental issues, look it, we have over 1,000 men dead in St. Lucia. Have 25 mysteries been solved. Been solved about murder. Then sect him. So when you had them policemen, bravo daring man. Now let me question you about the police force right now. I am with them, but I can expose them. Tim, look at how many years you walk into our big house. You have been over 20 years in media. You find a little boy. You in less than 3 years already have a house of $200,000. A car of thing of a salary of 1.3. This is where we have to start investigating. And tell them it's me, Edmund Murphy, that say that again. Because I'm not afraid of myself. So what happened in that force presently have been happening? Policemen think once they have a firearm, they feel they could tell you anything. I could tell you one case I was in. Man, a day, I went, a policeman asking me for my license and registration. He tell me my mother this, my mother that. He tell me my mother, when I fired him, he tell me he could arrest me, you shoot me. I tell you, you are the last man you could shoot. Because if you had shoot me, you would have paid the consequences. I did not need a gun. I did not need a knife to say how I feel. Because these policemen think once they have the authority, you have to think, now let me train you how to address a policeman. Tim, I'm coming to arrest you. Tim, I'm Edmund Murphy. I am 7-1. I come to conduct an arrest to you. Will you be able to compensate and abide with me? But before the policemen of St. Lucia come to arrest you, your mother this and your mother that, will you stop me? Man, I have feelings and I have blood. Man, goodbye, man. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. Animated caller. Amanda, what's happening in the chat room? Let's find out what are some of those comments people are making in the chat room.
Tim NewsSpin says there is a missing person in St. Lucia and nobody seems to care. Where on earth is Alva, the Minister for Foreign Affairs? Another commentary reads, this is my unsolicited advice to all St. Lucians that migrate to other countries. Please invest your money in your home and land. Invest in property, house and land for reasons like what is happening in the US, Canada and the EU. A NewsSpinner says the serious allegations that led to the suspension of US security assistance and ongoing sanctions must not be forgotten. This video demands urgent investigation. Another commentary reads, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, when are you going to release an official report on the manner in which your officers treated this man? Someone says here, what do you expect when there's no accountability at the top? When the leaders show zero accountability, how can we expect the police force to act any differently? Leadership sets the tone, and right now, the tone is failure, silence, and excuses. Another commentary reads, this government has shown time and time again it lacks the courage and commitment to reform the police force. Without real leadership, training, and a culture of respect for human rights, police brutality will continue unchecked. A NewsSpin says they're now working on the customer service of the police force. What am I hearing? Another commentary reads, I can place a safe bet that nothing will happen to these cops. Business will continue as per usual. A few comments from earlier. Someone says there, Tim, this is not the first time PJP and Richard have contradicted one another. Remember when Richard said that he told that the old printery will be demolished, and PJP said that Richard is not an engineer? Someone says there, I was hoping that after this press conference yesterday from the US, that PJP, Alva Baptist, and Hilaire would make a formal announcement or formal press conference to address the people of St. Lucia. Someone says there, Prime Minister, what concrete steps have your administration taken since the last CFATF report to address the outstanding deficiencies in St. Lucia's anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing regime? We need to know. Another comment reads, we have to look at this issue as a national concern and not as a partisan problem. A NewsSpinner says there, PJP, I want to hear you tell Trump that is not your business. And a comment in the chat room here reads, still no audit on the CIP investment program. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much. Still to come, we'll be hearing from a top cop. This is the most monitored talk show in the world, and it's called NewsSpin.
Ouais, messieurs, aujourd'hui, moi la ka espérer plein bomb glow. Si t'es la pani pressure. Moi ni tongue, moi ni glow, me money pressure. Ou savez ça moi besoin? A pomme. Ça c'est bêtise. Moi ka aller ko Europa. Yo ni toute pomme pour toute condition. Qui pour kay, qui pour business. Yo ni pli mer pour pomme cette ici. Yo ka ranger pomme aussi qui besoin service. Prendre pompe yo c'est Léo. Pompe ça c'est major. Ils bon tout bonnement. Tant si ten moins actuellement. Glo ka fante. Europa ni pompe glo Léo en de couleur neuf, orange et gris. Visitez Europa ambassade Gozile. Les mots au téléphone 452 0763.
Prepare for the hurricane season by ensuring trees and other objects on your property won't get tangled in overhead wires. Be careful. Ensure ladders and tools don't come within 10 feet of power lines. If a tree is near electrical lines, don't try to trim it yourself. Contact Lucelec at 452-2165 or 454-6617. Be smart. Stay safe.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
It's the energy of we people, something pulsing inside. It beats in every soul, a feeling we cannot It's always hide. Pushing us forward, the limit up in the sky. There's rhythm in how we flow, a rhythm that can't be denied. It's in the feeling in how we talk. It's in the meaning in our spark. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are, 'cause the rhythm of life keeps pumping.
teens, this one's just for you. Get ready for the KFC Teen Socarama, happening Saturday, June 28th from 12 to 6 p.m. at Serenity Park. It's a full day of teen talent on display. Junior soca and calypso artists, kiddie carnival bands, fashion, drama, games, and non-stop vibes. Come out and let's have some good, clean fun. No alcohol, just finger-licking goodness. So tell a friend, grab your crew, pull up to KFC Teen Socarama. See you there.
I in a good spirit. I drink in a good
St.
spirit.
Lucia, are you ready for the ultimate all-inclusive?
Chalet Blanc, the all-white event. Tier 1 now available at Frontline Ticketing, Eventbrite, Digicel Baywalk Mall, 4 Circles Ticketing, or WhatsApp at 240-344-8629. A musical journey curated by the best local and international DJs. St. Lucia Carnival Saturday, July 19th, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m.
At Sanders Golf and Country Club, Kappa State.
Look something to talk about.
Unlimited Drake, brunch buffet, top-class entertainment.
Stay tuned. This event is powered by One Golden Fox and Natalie Events.
Why suffer in silence? At La Clinique de Corps, an approved universal healthcare clinic, you now have direct access to a team of internationally trained specialists from the US, France, Cuba, Venezuela, and more right here in St. Lucia. We treat chronic pain, sciatica, arthritis, lupus, nerve damage, carpal tunnel, and more with precision and care. We also offer advanced diagnostic nerve testing to detect hidden issues early before they become serious. All health insurances accepted. We assist you every step of the way. Call 451-6559 or WhatsApp 721-9950 today. La Clinique de Corps, where healing begins.
Your home is a reflection of who you are. So make it beautiful with MNC Home Depot.
Quality products at the best prices. Paint and plumbing to home appliances. Customer service, you can count on us. With experience, you can trust.
So if you need to build it, clean it, style it, paint it or fix it, chances are we got it. MNC Home Depot, better value for better homes.
MNC Home Depot, better value for better homes.
Visit us in store or shop online at mnchomedepot.com. MNC Home Depot, better value for better homes.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world. The Bahamas government says it is pausing the recruitment of nurses from Cuba and will also cancel its existing contracts with a Cuban recruitment agency. The Health and Wellness Minister, Dr. Michael Davil, who paid a visit to Havana 2 weeks ago to review the current recruitment program, told Parliament that the government will enter into direct employment contracts with Cuban healthcare workers who are currently in the Bahamas. Thought I'd share this piece of information with you. Now, let us hear from the new Trinidad and Tobago Police Commissioner. His name is Alistair Guevara. And there was a handing over parade for the new commissioner yesterday. And he made reference to the 5 choices that he had to make.
I would first like to recognize and thank God for his guiding hand along this journey. Secondly, I would like to ask Mr. Benjamin to stand, because I want to recognize that Mr. Benjamin answered that clarion call when the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service was placed in its darkest hour. And we must recognize the brilliant leadership which he held the fort and led this good ship TTPS through troubled waters. Thank you for that, sir. I would have prepared a speech to come and deliver here today. But after coming here today and seeing the outpouring of support and looking at the younger faces, I've decided not to read this speech for 2 reasons. One, the first reason I would have read a newspaper article on yesterday's date from the Guardian newspaper. Page 16 by Annalisa Paul, stating, Dad joins TTPS to be a role model for his son. The significance of this newspaper article in getting me to desist from reading my prepared speech is that it is time that the police service and the officers who are members of this august and esteemed body return to being role models of society. It is about time we return to being superheroes. Every single person here today would know the name Randolph Burroughs. Every person here today would know the name Cecil Carrington. These men would have labored in the vineyards for many years, and they would have struggled, and they would have toiled, and they would have put down roots for people like me, Mr. Benjamin, Mr. Simon, and other police officers, so we can step forward and now have a better police service. The second reason that I am not going to read this prepared speech, because of those officers standing there when I saw them marching past, I saw youthful exuberance on them. And when I saw the youthful exuberance, it came to mind that we all have choices to make. And I would like to speak about 5 particular choices in my own life. And as I speak to my troops today, I would like to tell them that there's one thing that nobody could take from you. They could take your life, they could take your car, they could rob you, but they cannot take your integrity. You have to give it to them. The first choice I want to speak about in my life was not made by me, but it was made by someone else. I was attending the Santa Maria Roman Catholic School, and I was 8 years of age. And I came home from school that day, and I met my teacher sitting in my gallery speaking to my mother. I became fearful. I learned what the word trepidation meant at that point in time. Because I say, I'm going and get it now. And when I walked up the steps and I said, good evening, he pointed to me, and that guy, his name was Mr. Russell Foote, who went on to be a professor in the University of the West Indies. And he said, look him there. That gentleman, you need to move him from that school because he needs some competition. If he stays here, he will get influenced by bad company. My mother, who I would like to recognize today, she has gone to the great beyond in 2019. She came from humble beginnings, and I also came from humble beginnings. Where it is that she decided, being unemployed, to take a chance and send me to school at Princeton RC, incurring debt and incurring financial hardship. And it was that second choice, 14.5 mile mark Penal Rock Road, bear that address, 2.5 kilometers to the junction to get a taxi, and I used to be there at 6 a.m. every morning. And if you don't get a ride, you have to walk back in. So that is a 5K I make every day. When I was walking out the road, that dark and lonely road that morning, I made the second choice for myself. I said, at 9 years old, do not waste the opportunity that your mother is laboring for. Do not waste that opportunity. The third choice that I made was whilst attending St. Stephen's College in Princeton. Yes, my alma mater. Proud to say it. There was a career guidance day. And when they asked, what do you want to be when you leave school? I said, I want to be the police commissioner. Prophecy fulfilled. And I can proudly say that I have several members of my class who are members of the police service who are present, and they looked at me and they said, why you want to be a police? I said, no, I want to be a police. I want to be the police commissioner. The fourth choice that I had to make after passing out from this esteemed establishment, I went to work at Princeton Police Station. And I was fortunate to work with some very great officers. And one day, two men came in dressed in plain clothes, and they started to question me. Little bit I knew they were from the special branch, and they were actually talent spotting me. And they gave me an opportunity at that point in time to join the special branch as a probationer. And that was a choice I made for myself. The fifth choice that I would like to speak to you all here about today, I only realized that choice and how important it was some months ago when I was strapped to a polygraph machine, like the $6 million man or 50 cents, things checking your heart rate, your blood pressure and everything. And the polygraph examiner said to me, "Have you ever used narcotics?" And I proudly said, "No." That was a choice I made for myself. If anybody know Moruga, Moruga famous for agriculture, fish, and what? Marijuana. I never touch it, and I never will, because it is a gateway drug, and I recognize it from that point in time. So I want to use my couple moments here remaining to send a clarion call to all the parents in the nation looking on, that listen, the future of our nation does not rest in your child's school bag. It rests in your hands as the parents, because you need to take control of your children. I have been looking on for the past couple of months, and I've been seeing several acts of violence engaging the public and media attention about school violence and bullying. Under my watch, that will never happen. I want to make you a promise here today. If you cannot control your children, we, the TTPS, will confine them.
You just heard there from the newly appointed Police Commissioner of Trinidad and Tobago, Alistair Guevara, speaking yesterday during the handing over parade in his honor. That's the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show. My name is Timothy Poleon. I'll be back on Friday afternoon at 12:30. Tomorrow is a holiday. But you can join me this evening, 7 o'clock, on DBS television for the DBS News World, and at 8:30 for Newsmaker Live. My guest is Mr. Stephen Favrier, who is the United Workers' Party candidate for Castries North. You'll be my guest on this evening's Newsmaker Live on DBS television at 8:30. Goodbye.